Hi there and welcome to this week's vlog. Thanks as always for joining me. Now, I was born, and I still can't believe this, over 70 years ago in a town on the east coast of England in East Yorkshire. The town is called Withensea. And perhaps about a year ago I discovered that a new parkrun had been started in Withensea. It's called the Withensea Promenade Parkrun. So I decided then that I'd love to go and do that parkrun. I just really enjoyed doing parkruns, and especially when I can visit a new area and do a parkrun. So I booked into a hotel near Withensea for the Friday night, and then last Saturday I did the Withensea Promenade Parkrun. What a lovely time I had. It's great just running along the promenade. You can look out over the sea and feel the gentle breeze. It wasn't too hot, fortunately, and I just really enjoyed it. It brought back lots of memories from the time when I lived in that area, and so I visited a few of the places that I knew well from years gone by. In fact, visiting Withensea was interesting too, and I went up the lighthouse, which I might have done it in the past, but it would be many years ago, and that was interesting too. Lovely view and some great exhibitions, kind of a museum there. So anyway, I visited a few places, and one of the places I visited was a village called Otteringham, which is where Sue and I were married over 47 years ago. I went into the church there, St Wilfrid's. I think it's probably the first time I'd visited the church or been in it since we're actually married. And it was just lovely to be in there and recall some happy memories. And indeed, the whole experience of being there over that Friday, Saturday in that area, so many happy memories from my youth. Yes, I was young once. And one of the memories that came back to me was when I became part of what was known as a mission band, a group of young people who would lead services in some of the local Methodist chapels. It was quite a daunting experience for me. I'd never been up front helping lead services or whatever, but we decided to choose a name for our group, and the name we came up with was the Ambassadors. And I've been thinking about that recently. One of the reasons that we chose that name was from the writing of St Paul, where he writes to the Corinthians, "We are Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us." So Paul talks about those who follow Jesus being ambassadors. We carry with us the message. We represent Christ, if you like, in the world. It's quite a daunting challenge, isn't it, really? So I looked at what an ambassador actually is. An ambassador is someone from a particular country. His home is in a particular country, but he lives temporarily in another country as his home country's representative. So he belongs in one country, but he lives in another to represent his home country. And that's an interesting concept, isn't it? That we live in, we're based, we're home, our home is in one country, but we live in another representing our home country. And so I guess that's the kind of picture that Paul is painting when he says we are ambassadors of Christ. We are Christ's ambassadors. And it's kind of important that we remember that, because sometimes we forget. We kind of focus so much on our life here on earth as if that this is all there is. But actually, our home is not here. We're here temporarily. Paul, again writing to the Philippians, says, "But our citizenship is in heaven." So we are, when we follow Christ, when we give our lives to Jesus, we are citizens of heaven. That's our home. But we are here, yes, on planet Earth. We are here on Earth, and we are to be ambassadors of Christ, to represent him. And that's quite, as I said, that's quite a daunting challenge for us, isn't it? how well do we represent Christ in our daily lives? And do we have our mind, do we always have in our mind the fact that earth is not our permanent home? We're just temporary residents here. That our citizenship, as Paul says, is in heaven. So that's an interesting concept I've been mulling over in my mind. I wonder if we ask those who knew as well how we're doing as ambassadors of Christ. Do we well represent him well? Do we live in a way that honours him? That's a challenging thought. So I just leave that with you, really. And that comes from my experience last weekend when we went around the Methodist chapels as the ambassadors of Christ. That was a challenge, but we sought to proclaim the good news of Jesus and to bless those who were part of those church communities. But we never stopped being called to be an ambassador for Christ. Christ's ambassador. Isn't that a wonderful thing that he sends us out to represent him in the world, to demonstrate his love, his joy, his peace, his forgiveness, and every attribute, every part of who Christ is. So it should be seen in us as we allow God's Spirit to move in and through us. So let's remind ourselves we're ambassadors for Christ. We live here, but our home is in heaven. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening today.